and it's a theme that mirrors that coming of age struggle that a lot of people deal with. So how did you both approach that duality and making it feel authentic to viewers, especially kids?
The main thing I would start with, we'd have to write a story for David to voice. I mean, without a script, David wouldn't have a job to do. So we had to write a script, and so it's like, what is Danny's problem today? You know, oh my gosh, there's a school project he's got to get done by 3 o'clock. Oh, but by the way, the school's being invaded by ghosts. So I've got to go deal with that and get my project done. So how do we do that? And then David would come in and bring the whole thing to life with the whole team and everything. But that's how you start off any story. It's like you got a hero, and the hero's got to have a weakness or it's a boring hero. There's a lot of heroes out there they try and give ultimate power to, and it's the most boring story of all time. That's why they gave Superman kryptonite. Because he could do everything, and they had to give him a weakness, which actually makes for a better story. So we really based Danny on some of my favorites. Spider-Man, you know, Batman even, because Batman's a human, which is gadgets and things. He's got frailties and weaknesses. So, I mean, how did you approach the voice of a young teenage boy?
Well, I was a young teenage boy.
That's true, at one time.
So, and I, you know, I still am.
I'm super young.
No, the way that Danny was written, being sort of on the outside and like not necessarily like a complete nerdy,
very
kid, just an insecure kid, and like you said, dealing with a lot of the things that people go through at that age, it was easy to connect to that, and you know, people that have come up to me and said that like the show meant so much to them, and it got them through difficult times of their own, and it's really been very touching.
Yeah, and we really thank you guys for that. If this show helped you in any way, we're very grateful to you guys for watching it, because without you, we wouldn't have a show. Amen, you know, so, but you know, both of us were insecure nerds as young boys. You know, I wasn't very big as a kid. I was really small, so I know what it's like to be bullied and to be intimidated and all that stuff. And school, when you're at that age, school is everything. That's your world, and so there's no world outside of school. So that kingdom of school is where everything happens, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, behind the school, you know, at the gym, whatever. So maybe some stuff happens at home on occasion, but it all relates back to school. So it was just, and Nickelodeon was all about kids. We had to have a show with a kid as the star. So that's why the parents were just bumbling idiots in the background, you know, they couldn't be the stars of the show.
I find it interesting because, you know, I'm a girl, and I watched Danny Phantom as a kid. Like, I was 3 when I first started watching the show, and I feel like whenever I was like becoming him, I feel like it helped influence the way I approached, you know, my early school days. Because, you know, even like with ghosts, I think ghosts are cool, right? I'm like, I go ghost hunting every once in a while.
They're cool until they show up.
Exactly.
Ghosts are cool until you see one in your bedroom at 3 in the morning.
Well, I guess speaking of the ghosts on the show, you have such a specific style in your illustration. Like, when I see a character that you made, I'll immediately know that you were the one who made it. So what was your approach creatively when designing all the crazy villains in Danny Phantom?
Oh man, we really had a good time. It had to fit in the style. The Danny Phantom style is a lot like the Fairly Odd Parents style, but it's a little bit different, a little more comic booky. You notice Timmy Turner has 4 fingers, Danny Phantom has 5. Huge difference. But the ghosts were just, we had to design a ghost that would fit the ghost personality. You know, we had a ghost kid from the 1950s at one point. He dressed like a 50s kid. We had a ghost who was a genie. So we, you know, she looked like she was from a harem or something. We dressed, you know, we had ghosts who lived specifically in the ghost zone. Skulker was a hunter ghost, wanted to be big and menacing. Power, he was actually a mechanical suit powered by a little tiny guy on the inside. You know, so it was just fun to design those villains. And did you guys like our Danny Phantom title cards for the episodes? You like those too?
I was going to ask about that. Do you have a favorite that you've made?
Oh man, well those were based on 1950s movie posters.
Right, like drive-ins, right?
Yeah, drive-in movies, yeah, it's like It Came from Outer Space and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So the title cards are really fun to do, and then the artists would challenge themselves who could do the better title card, because once we had the theme down. One of my favorites is My Brother's Keeper, where Jazz finds out that Danny is Danny Phantom. That was what's cool about the show too. The stories, you could watch one story and it was a one-off, no problem.
Right.
But if you wanted to watch it as a sequence, they would all tie into each other as well. So the show, kind of like the X-Files. We're trying to build like the X-Files, which was a show back in the 90s, the X-Files.
Yes, so good, so good. So we've talked a lot about the creative process and what has gone into the show, which has been incredible. I want to jump into the voice acting side of things. How did you begin your career in voice acting?
I actually just fell into it. And it's such a good lesson in sort of being aware of what opportunities are right in front of you and recognizing them and kind of going with the flow of the river wherever the river of your life takes you. Because I never really set out to, there's so many people that set out to become a voice actor. Voice actors that I work with, and they say, oh, I always wanted to do that. I listened to Mel Blanc, and is it Blanc or Blanc?
It's Mel Blanc.
Blanc, okay. In French,
Bugs
they say,
Bunny and Daffy
in French,
Duck.
France, they say Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc. Yes, no, it's Mel Blanc.
But-
You're in America.
Blanc. But they wanted to do voice acting, and I had always done. I started out as an actor as a kid, doing community theater. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Done a lot of kids theater. Did high school plays. Went out to Los Angeles. Was a theater major. So it was always stage, and then morphed into film and television, and did a ton of commercials. And I was in for an audition for a TV commercial, and this casting director who his name was Danny Goldman. Do you know?
Heard the name. No, heard the name.
Did you ever see Young Frankenstein?
With Gene Wilder?
With Gene Wilder, at the very beginning of the movie, when they're in the classroom, and he's giving the explanation about how.
Yeah.
Danny is the student that speaks up and challenges him.
Oh, that's Danny Goldman?
That's Danny Goldman, and that was the casting director. He was also the casting director of the Back to the Future, the animated series. I went in to audition for an on-camera commercial. He was like, David, come here. Michael Fox couldn't do the voice, or wasn't going to do the voice, whatever the reason was. And he goes, I think your voice is, the tenor of it is enough that you could get a decent match, but it doesn't have to be an exact match.
No, but it's all about opportunity and making sure you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But you can't be in the right place if you don't move from the place you're in now. You gotta always keep moving. You gotta always keep going. You gotta always keep trying. Right?
For sure.
You say you just fell into it, but you really didn't. You really didn't fall into it because you worked really hard.
That is true.
You worked very hard.
That is
and
true.
You kept going after it.
Being prepared for the opportunities that come along is really important. So, doing what you love, practicing it, doing it all the time. So when the opportunity presents itself, you're like, oh, I can do this. And so I did, and I got cast in that, and it just fell into.
But it pales in comparison to Danny Phantom. That's all I want to say. Yeah.
Love it.